The Detroit Lions just dropped 40 points on the road against the San Francisco 49ers, and this Sunday night they will take on the Vikings for the number one seed. This is the biggest regular season game in Detroit Lions history. They cannot afford to lose this because if they do, they don't get that week of rest and they're going to have to travel on the road against, right now it's looking like, who's the four seed? It's Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Lions have 2 losses, 14 wins. One of those two was against the Bucks. The Bucks are red hot right now. Baker Mayfield just threw 5 touchdowns yesterday. The Lions don't want to do that. Would they win? Probably, but it's going to be a shootout. I mean, the Niners dropped 34 on the Lions' head. What is a significantly better offense in Tampa Bay going to do with Bucky Irvin, who leads, of course, all rookies in scrimmage yards, rushing touchdowns? I mean, he's unbelievable. Mike Evans, Baker, and these guys. So Detroit, they've got to take care of business. They're at home. I get the Vikings are great on both sides, but if the Lions want to win the Super Bowl, they've got to get it done. But talking about this game against the Niners, it was the offense that stole the show. Jared Goff, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. 26 of 34, high level efficiency. Jahmyr Gibbs had a 30-yard touchdown run. He goes 18 for 117 with a tutty. We also saw Jamison Williams find the end zone, 5 for 77 as a receiver. Sam Laporta found the end zone, 6 for 64. And then last but certainly not least, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, 8 for 60 with a touchdown. Gibbs also had 46 yards receiving, so he went well over 100 from scrimmage. He was phenomenal in this game. The Lions just collectively, offensively moved the ball at will. We also saw their kicker knock down a couple of kicks, of course. The Lions, they went for it pretty much every single time, unless it was like 4th and 7, 4th and 8. But Jake Bates knocked down 2, including a 57-yarder. He's going to be critical moving forward because it's going to come down to one possession games against the Vikings and then in the playoffs. So he's going to have to knock down some kicks. Dan Campbell's still going to roll the dice. He's still going to go for it. He understands that his offense is the best in football. He also understands that these points just add up. And if you can get 7, that's a hell of a lot more than getting 3, man, especially against the best of the best. He trusts his guys. He trusts in Ben Johnson. And most importantly, he trusts in Jared Goff, who just continues to have an MVP type of season. To be on the road in Santa Clara and getting Jared Goff chance and Lions chance, it's just unbelievable. It goes to show how far this franchise has come. When I first started covering the NFL full time for my job on YouTube here, of course, I mean, the Lions were under 500. They were under 500. Goff was not necessarily struggling, but he wasn't playing anything close to he is now. And then this team just continued to be resilient and fight and fight and fight. And now they're the best team in football, in my opinion. I know the Chiefs statistically are the best team in football, but I just think the Lions from top to bottom are the best. And I'd love to see them go out and get a Super Bowl, man. But defensively, it's got to get cleaned up. Kirby Joseph had 2 interceptions. I'll give him his flowers. But Brock Purdy, career high 377 passing yards. I actually fired him up in fantasy just because I was like, it's the Lions. They're decimated. They're going to give up a ton of yards. And I was right. 3 tutties for Purdy, of course. 116 rating. I mean, 10.8 average. That's very, very elite, guys. That cannot happen against the Vikings, who have a lot of weapons. Addison, Jones, Jefferson. Of course, T.J. Hawkinson, former Lions. You guys are going to know him well, man. He was a day 2 pick bright and early. This has got to get cleaned up. It is the Niners. The Lions didn't have to go out there and play this game. I wanted them to just because I don't know how you just take the game off and then go and play the Vikings. You got to get these reps in and get this experience. But just who's coming up, I mean, the Lions, they've got to be ready to play. They can't give up 34 against the Vikings. That's just not going to be able to get it done. You don't want to get in a shootout as well. The Lions can do that, but it's just not sustainable. Eventually, it's going to cost them. Ricky Pearsall had a career day, 141 yards and a touchdown. George Kittle, 8 for 112. Oh my goodness, if Kittle had one more catch, I would have actually lost in the championship. So, wow, thank you, Lions, for, of course, not allowing him to do more damage to find the end zone. Jawan Jennings, 7 for 67. Just a elite offensive game. 4.6 yards per carry, 152 yards, 303 yards passing. The defense, like I said, struggled. I'm not taking too much away from this game. I mean, just given the circumstances, the Lions 40-34, they didn't even need to play this game. They went out there, they competed. Got to give them credit. The Niners, even though they're 6-10 now, they still have a lot of talent. They still have an elite head coach in Kyle Shanahan. Good players all around. I mean, Ricky Pearsall, of course, was a first-round pick. George Kittle's heading to the Hall of Fame, probably be first ballot. Jawan Jennings is very good. Isaac Guerrero ran a 4.3. He's quick. Deebo Samuel's very good. So there's some weapons, and of course Purdy himself. So I did expect this game to be competitive, and of course the Niners scored with a minute left to cut it to a one-possession game. I mean, prior to that it was what, 40-28. So still, I mean, the scoreboard is a scoreboard, but yeah, I think this is just one of those games where the Lions just wanted to get out of the way and then prepare for Sunday night. And if you guys did see that Vikings game, of course, against the Packers, their defense is just playing on a different level right now. They held Jordan Love and the rushing attack for Green Bay to essentially nothing. So the Lions, I mean, their offense is going to be tested, but it will be ready to play for sure. It's just how do they slow down Sam Darnold? Because if Purdy's throwing for all these yards, well, what is Darnold going to do exactly? But the Lions, the last time they played the Vikings, of course, which was in Minnesota, they beat them. It's going to be tough, man. I do make Vikings videos, and I think the Vikings are playing better than the Lions, but I think Detroit needs this, and they know the significance of it. The Vikings can go on the road. They can go to Tampa Bay. The Lions, can they do that, though? You guys have already lost to Tampa Bay, depleted on defense. Baker Mayfield would be licking his chops taking on this defense. And, man, I mean, the Lions, I just couldn't even fathom if they were to lose this game. They're going to be in serious trouble. They absolutely are. I've been watching a lot of Bucs games lately too, and they just have so many weapons, so much speed. Really hoping for the sake of this Lions franchise that they find a way to win this game and get that one seed. They need the week of rest more than anyone in all of football, so hopefully they can go out there and get it. But it's fun watching this team. Ben Johnson dialed up another trick play where, of course, Goff just threw it to St. Brown, and then he was able to pitch it back to Jameson Williams for the touchdown, which was a very creative play. Jamo also did have a rushing touchdown as well. He had a rush for negative yards, which is why you see -2, but that was early to start this game. I actually turned this game on when it was 7-7, so I saw the replay of that. So I did miss, of course, the first 2 touchdowns of the game. The Lions got their extra point blocked, but after that I saw it. And I was very impressed. It was a good game. I mean, normally I feel like these primetime games are nothing special, but the Lions, whenever they're on, they're going to give the fans something to remember, and they did do exactly that. And to this point, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this game. I mean, even though it's week 17, there wasn't much at stake for this, but Sunday night is going to be the game that I'm looking forward to. There's just so much on the line. I think, honestly, we're seeing the best and the second best team in the NFC. The Eagles definitely are right up there, but I just think the Lions and the Vikings are the 2 best teams, and I cannot wait to see them go head-to-head with everything on the line. The 1 seed, getting that bye, of course, not having to go on the road. Even for the Vikings, they could go to Tampa Bay, and they certainly absolutely could lose. I mean, Baker Mayfield's having an MVP type of year. Who's going to cover Mike Evans on both of these teams? You're going to double him? Okay, now you've got Jalen McMillan. Kate Otten will be certainly playing in the playoffs. You got to deal with Bucky. You also got to deal with Rashad White. I mean, it's just tough. It's tough. And with that home crowd behind them in Tampa Bay, they've got a lot of good edge rushers. So, yeah, I just can't wait, man.